Welcome back to class, dear students. In this lesson, let's move to step 4 of 7 of connecting and interacting with Solana program from your dApp front end. Now, we want to set up the Solana program object instance context and provider. So in the previous lesson, we discussed about the wallet, and you were able to understand the importance of having the wallet context provider, then the multi-wallet component that connects with them and things like that. Now we want to set up the Solana program object instance. That means the project we want to, the program, which is in our case is Solang Solidity Solana SPL token minter, which we have set up earlier here. We have deployed it, we've tested it, we've copied the IDL, we've added it up. Now it's time to set up using the IDL, which guide and help to create this aspect. So before we do that, you need to install, and if you don't have it already, you install Anchor into your project. But since you have the repo, I think all those are already pre-installed for you. So the next step we just need, if we go to the package JSON, yeah, you can see it, this Anchor Cora-xyc-anchor/anchor. So this Anchor is already installed. So with that, we don't need to do again. But here now we need to create that provider. Let's call it mint context provider. Just copy this by importing the packages that are needed, and then we have the example code you can copy and use here. So let's see. We need it inside this context. So we create a new file, paste the name, say white space, yeah. Good. So we have this empty, then we have this code. Let me copy and then briefly explain it for you. So you can see it, as I said, this thing is well detailed enough. So, and you can watch me as I give some brief explanation. So what are we doing here? You see, we are importing Anchor and use connect, which are coming. Remember, all these things I said is important. We should import back then. So we'll still make use of it here. Then we have the Anchor provider program and set provider from Anchor itself. Here we have the SPL token minter and IDL. Remember, as minter IDL. So we can just use IDL directly, but I put as minter IDL because this makes it possible for you to use multiple IDL or multiple program in your smart contract, in your front end. Sorry. So that means if I want to do for another project or for another Solana program, I can just create his own context as well. Then his own IDL, every one of them is importing IDL. So it becomes confusing. So instead of just using IDL and then create confusion, I will just assign the IDL to something that's more dedicated to this. So minter IDL. So if there's another one that is transfer or something like that or whatever, then I can say transfer IDL or anything, other program I want to put, or maybe in future we talk about like maybe other programs that we want to integrate, and we still want to use that same dApp and things like that. So let's say airdrop and things. So we just say IDL as airdrop IDL. So it differentiates it from this instead of using IDL and then confuse the program. Now we also import all this from React, then public key from Web3.js. So your public key normally is just this, like your wallet. So you have this now, you can share to receive payment and things like that. But behind it, you have a private key that's not meant to be shared. So we have access to all those things. Then I try my best to ensure all these things are well commented. So if you go through each of these comments, we need to set the type for the context. Don't forget we are dealing with TypeScript here, so a lot of those things need to be done. So which is the minter program. We set this minter program, assign it to all this you are seeing. You see they are coming from your IDL. You remember the idea I said these two? You remember? Yeah. So they are coming from here. And that's why it's so important. They are the one we use to structure, we build the object, because it gives us how the smart contract looks like, and that will help us to rebuild the kind of object instance representing it, so that any communication we are doing with it, we know where to call, what function is available, and we won't call functions that are not available on the contract. Then you create the context with a default no value, custom hook to use the minter program. So this now makes it possible for you to use the minter program. You see that we are exporting it. Once you export inside things like Nextjs, you make that value available for other components and things to make use of them. So then we also need to now create the provider. So the provider, for us to use to have the provider now, we have this also exported as minter program provider. In most projects or video, you just say program, and why you see me using things like minter, like I told you, this make it very specific to this program, and it's become easier for me to include multiple programs inside this single dApp Solana program without breaking things, because each of them use unique naming and all those things to interact with their context provider and all those things like that. So that's why you see this, and we set up or use the wallet and connection from the Solana wallet adapter. You see them. The state variable to hold the minter program instance. Set up function for the minter program as well. So we need to, if there's no wallet, we need to set up a function for the minter program. So you see that everything is still inside this minter program provider. So when we wrap our project with it, it has access to all these things that we have here. So we have something like the anchor provider using the connected wallet, the program ID from minter IDL. If we go back here, remember we said it. If we look at here, let's open this and scroll to the bottom. You see it. This address is your program ID, and if you check the previous lesson, when we deployed it together in this course, you remember inside this program folder, let me close this. I still even have it here, good. You see, when we deployed it, we got this program ID on our Solana DevNet. You see it. Deploying program deployed, deploy successful. So we got this program ID, and that's what is being referred to here as well. So if you check, you can see it. Now if I check here, say address, you can see that's the same thing with what we've got here, and that came from here. The same with this, came into the IDL and then makes it super easily available. That's why I said the IDL is non-negotiable. Even if you can't use IDL, maybe the other platform coming up apart from Anchor, you still need whatever they call their own to interface with your Solana program. So that's how then create the minter program instance. So we create the minter program instance to have access like the object, so we can now begin to interact and set the minter program instance in the state using the set minter program. Then other function as usual when you are using Nextjs and React. So on the setup function, when the wallet or connection changes, So this is like a try to listing that when there is a change, when the wallet or connection changes, do this. You understand? So provide the minter program instance to child component. So we'll return this and make it available for component and other things which are very essential. When we want to interface or interact with this Solana program now, our SPL token minter program here that we deploy there now, all we need majorly are this, because it's like you see it carries that object of the IDL and all those things like that. So once we do that, we are done creating, and then the next step will be for us to now make use of this context provider for the program. So that will be the next step 5 of the 7 steps. That's it. If you have questions, don't forget, use the comment directly under the lesson. I don't answer questions because it stresses me out too much to answer questions on Discord, on Twitter, on YouTube, on a lot of platforms like that. So for each course, that's why it's organized course. For each lesson, they have option for you to comment or whatever you see based on if you change design, to comment there and read through other students' comment and answer from me or the author, so that if they have answered your question, you don't need to repeat it because it may be deleted. So that you can get help, and usually respond within like 72 hours, but usually like 24 hours, but at least within 72 hours. So once you have this, we can now start making use of them, because you have return it and expose it to be used by other components. That's it. I remain Solomon Foske of the Programming University. Keep the programming spirit and alive, your assurance to succeed in the long run as a developer, and please always do good to humanity and nature with any knowledge you have, including your programming skill, and not evil, to make the world and universe a better place for us all. Peace, and see you in the next lesson.